Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. How many times do you think the SNP and the Greens, between them, called for or had a discussion about or mentioned or made a plea for independence? I don't mean ever. I mean just in the last parliamentary year, the 22-23 parliamentary year. And remembering, of course, that they're not there every day. It's not a 365-day year. They have several big recesses. And, of course, on those days, they're really only in on average, about 4 days a week on the sort of 30-odd weeks a year that they're in. So we're not talking a lot of days here. Well, over 400 times they called for independence, even though they've lost court cases to say they don't have the competency to call it or talk about it, discuss it. It's not their decision. And yet over 400 times, in fact, they kept calling for it. I suppose when you've only got one drum, it's the only drum you can bang. I mean, in the meantime, Scotland's falling apart because you're too busy concentrating on that one drum. And you're not seeing the NHS, the economy, crime, anything like that. And so we have this farce, this very expensive talking shop that spends a lot of time wasting time talking about something over which they have no control. Meanwhile, of course, the things that are important don't get discussed whatsoever. The opportunity cost of discussion is lost. And we have a look at this article and we'll see who the big bangers of that drum are. Although I think you can probably guess who's been banging the drum the most. Here goes. So, SNP and Greens called out for wasting Holyrood time with over 400 pointless calls for Skexit, with Nicola Sturgeon leading the way like you knew she would, because that's all she got. She looks around at every policy that's failing and tries to divert our eyes away from the failing policies by calling once again for independence. Honestly, she must be sitting there going, oh, it's a bit cold today. If it was independence, it'd be warmer, Oh, is it raining out? Yeah, if it was independent, it wouldn't be raining, Oh, I must put independent petrol in the car. That's her whole life. It's all she's got. An empty vessel otherwise. Sad, sad woman. That's why she's got no friends, of course. Zero small talk. Zero personality. Anyway, Humza Yousaf and Michelle Thompson were also in the top 3 of the most calls for independence, leaving them accused of being a broken record. Well, yeah, not a very good record either. Certainly didn't make top 10, did it? The SNP Greens have been slammed for their broken records attempt to call for an independence referendum, a total of over 400 times in the 22-23 term. Indeed, the very first time he had a meeting with Humza Yousaf, with Rishi Sunak, Humza Yousaf basically went down and went, oh, hello, hi, we'd like a referendum. No. And that was it. And he just sat back and went, we're supposed to talk about it. No. And he didn't get it. He didn't understand that these people could just say no to him. It's a bit of an eye-opener. During the last parliamentary year, Humza Yousaf made 19 pointless attempts. Michelle Thompson came out on top for the backbenchers with a total of 16 pointless attempts, while Queer Ross topped the number of all the Greens with 10 calls for no reason whatsoever. See, they're not going to get it, and especially not him. Nobody even listens to him. None of these came close to the reigning IndyRef 2 advocate Nicola Sturgeon, who before stepping down made a total of 39 calls for another vote, knowing full well it would never happen. All of which proves fruitless, following the Supreme Court ruling that slammed the brakes on any SNP attempt to make their own constitutional legislation, and a year of polling results that have failed to produce a majority for the yes support, even if there was a realistic prospect of IndyRef 2. Basically, the state of affairs is they're not going to be given an IndyRef. Even if they were given an IndyRef, they would lose it. And we saw it from the other day. 55% of the SNP's own supporters don't want full independence. They don't trust the SNP, and that's their own bloody supporters. Unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, SNP MSPs have called for independence 384 times, and the Green MSPs called for independence 19 times in the chamber, adding up to 403 times. This is in about 120 days of discussion in Holyrood. They're doing it nearly over 3 times a day. This includes all the calls during debates, ministerial statements, and during topical portfolio general and FMQs. Scottish Conservative Deputy Constitution, External Affairs and Culture Minister, that's a long title. Alexander, well, they have to double up, I suppose, because there's not many of them. Alexander Stewart, MSP, said, "The SNP and Greens are like a broken record with their constant calls for independence. Not only are they obsessed with raising it proactively, but they shamefully trot it out when criticised about their appalling record in government, as if it were the magic solution for every problem. If only there was a magic solution. I'd get me wand out. No, not that one, the proper wand. And I would wave it and go bippity boppity boo, bush, or whatever it is, and say Expelliarmus, and just make the lot of them disappear in a puff." The nationalist obsession with independence just shows how out of touch they are with the public, who expect them to focus on Scotland's real priorities, the cost of living crisis and a failing NHS, amongst every other area of policy, it must be said. It is no surprise at all that Nicola Sturgeon is the main culprit, as she used it as a distraction from her government's litany of failure. Yeah, every time anyone was saying, Nicola, this has gone wrong. Oh, well, if it was independent, we need to be independent, we could have cured that problem. No, you can't cure the problem that you have caused. Independence or not, you still caused the problem. Being independent just meant that you caused the problem and you can't rely on Westminster to sort it out for you. Meanwhile, Rishi Sunak has put his backing behind a potential clampdown on the SNP's Skexit spending. The First Minister was slammed as simply irresponsible by an angry Alistair Jack over his spending of taxpayer cash on independence papers, because it's party political, it should be illegal. The Scotland Secretary urged the SNP executive to cease working on breaking up the UK and instead dealing with more pressing issues. Both the SNP and the Greens have been contacted for comment, but neither of them wishes to express an opinion because it knows, they know at least, that it makes them look incredibly oafish, stupid, obsessed and incapable of performing their actual day job. But hey, we all know that. This isn't news. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much. I shall come up and we will round off the video. So, no surprise, of course, that the number one culprit was Nicola Sturgeon, and a culprit in many different ways, one suspects. I mean, everyone's saying she's a stuck record, but the way it is, she may be stuck with a criminal record. If the charges stick, anyway. But we shall find out that one later. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you've seen here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and just ignore everything the SNP do. Bye.